Hello everyone. We made it to 1,000 followers. We're actually a bit over that now because it took me a while to actually be able to get this together. But this is what I promised. We're going to do an updated collection room tour. I'm going to post it on YouTube, of course, and a lot has changed. If you go back and watch the one I did for 500 followers, you'll notice that a lot of things are new, but there's also a lot of things missing. Anything that's missing, I've sold off. It's been about half a year, and there's just, I realized I was too diverse. I was sticking my fingers in too many pies. I wanted to focus in more on things that I really enjoyed, which just so happened to mean that I'm also starting a lot of new collections. So as a result, a lot of things I didn't care for anymore got really cold, thinned out, as it were. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun to just see where everything's gone. Very few things are still in the same place they were when we did the last recording. And it's just fun overall to kind of go through these things with you. We're actually going to start where we ended the tour last time, that being with the Masters of the Universe shelf. As you can see, there's not much change to the top here. It's really just a bunch of random Motu figures I like that didn't have space to the shelves below. But I did get the new big Skeletor. I like him a lot. So he's up there with some other big baddies and that SDCC Scarecrow, which, I mean, it's nice, but in all honesty, I probably could have just waited for the normal retail one. Below that, we have the Masters of the Universe Classic shelf. So this was the line that the Four Horsemen did throughout the 2000s and the 2010s, and it was just a recreation of a lot of the vintage toys. I unfortunately don't have a lot of figures from this line. They're all very expensive nowadays. I got what I have. I don't think I'm going to get many more. I'd be into getting the other Skeletors I don't have, but I have most of them already, so I'm not too torn up. Down below, however, is the successor to Masters of the Universe Classics, the Masterverse toy line. Really blown away by this toy line. I like it a lot. There's some that I like less than others, like King Grayskull's cape is a bit annoying. Beastman and Swampman, not really feeling, but Triclops, Andra, the Skeletors, honestly Stinkor is one of my favorites. Just a really phenomenal toy line. I think it really has some legs. Below that, we have just a random master shelf. You can see I have 2000X in the back. And then down below, just Origins figures that didn't have anywhere else to go. And also some WWE Superstar figures, just no idea what to do with. Honestly, my favorite thing on this shelf is the reaction figures. Those are really solid Kenner-style Motu figures if you have any interest in that. We have more just random Motu, this time more minifigures, but we have the very few vintage He-Man figures I have, as well as some recreations. Then the 2021 He-Man series, that toy line, and some Motu minis, and the muscle guys, as well as the Mega Blocks. I bought way too many of these things, and now I can't get rid of them, but that's okay. Down below, it's just, this was a Sonic shelf, but it kind of just became miscellaneous video games. I have like some World of Nintendo stuff. I have some of the very few Pokemon figures I still have. It's alright. It's a bit of a cluttered shelf, but I still enjoy looking at it. The Sonic line from Jax is really solid, like especially all the bad guys they've done, like Mecha, Metal Sonic, all the Eggmans. Just really phenomenal stuff. I'm embarrassed to show this off, but it is part of the room and it is part of the collection. Every time I get new figures in, I actually just put their boxes next to the door so I can open them as time goes on. I don't like to open everything all at once. You know, I want to wait until I'm in the mood to open something. So, got some Marvel Legends, I got a Cyber Shark, some WWE guys, a lot more Muppets, and I have way more Muppets in the living room too. We might show that later. But this is just where I have my, what I call my processing area. I think a lot of toy collectors have a place like this where they just put new stuff until they're ready to open it. We all know these shelves at this point. I make no secret, I love the Pokemon finger puppets. There's a store in Savannah called Planet Fun. They get these guys in. I never do any research. I don't know which ones they made. I don't know when they cut off. All I know is every time I go into Planet Fun, I buy some more, and I'm very happy. They're one of my favorite things to collect right now. And then I do have a couple of actual Pokemon figures still. I have the Trainer Select Articuno and Charizard, as well as that Toxtricity. I'm not big on actual Pokemon action figures anymore. Like, I feel like I had the finger puppets. The finger puppets do more for me. We go down one, and basically just more finger puppets. My favorite ones down here had to be like that Cresselia, and then I love the red Genesect. Parasect is cool too. I have a Primal Kyogre right there. The unfortunate thing about these finger puppets is I occasionally forget which ones I have and which ones I don't, so I have a lot of duplicates, as you can see right there with the two Magmars. But the cool thing with that is you never know what differences they're going to have in paint, the differences they're going to have in wear. Each one can be a little bit unique. Going down one more, and just a lot more. My favorite one on this one has to be that Nidoking. It came out the first year of this puppet line, as far as I can tell, 96. And then down below, we're still working on this shelf, but still a good many there. And as you can see, there's my third Parasect. And also my fourth Garchomp, because I just forget which ones I have sometimes, but it's okay. My favorite one has to be that Metang. Like, it's just so unnerving looking. I need to put him with his Metagross, because I have the full line, they're just kind of parsed out right now. If you saw the first room tour, you probably remember that I had multiple shelves just for movies, and though that's still the case, things have certainly opened up quite a bit. The movies I just moved into my bedroom because I didn't see a point in displaying them. All I have left are like my favorite movies I keep on that shelf, and even then these are probably going to be in the bedroom before too much longer, just so I can have a few more shelves for toys. Along the top of these bookcases, I have just a lot of miscellaneous shelves, things that are too big to go elsewhere or the collections are too small to warrant giving them their own space. So I have like the McFarlane the Batman figures, that big Stormtrooper and Megatron, my Funko Five Nights figures, a couple of tiny Transformers, my Mini-Mates Mass Effect figures, and some Robot Heroes. That is a Legacy Collection Jedi Cast. Legacy Collection was one of the Star Wars lines that was very popular when I was a young Star Wars fan, so it was important for me to have a on-card example, and Jedi Cast comes from one of my favorite comic book storylines. Basically, he's a nobody who tries to steal Boba Fett's identity, and Boba hunts him down. So I like the fact that they gave him a figure, and I'm glad that that's the one that I have on card, because it's a character that wouldn't mean much to a lot of people, but means something to me. So I'm sentimental like that. That's the Dr. Wu, Galvatron, and Sound Blaster. I forget what their actual names are, but they are very solid. They're like 2 inches tall, but have great transformations. They're in scale with Trypticon and the other Titan figures. I want to collect the rest of that line, but for right now, I think I'm just good with those two. Going over, I've made many remarks that the 5-inch McFarlane My Hero line is my favorite My Hero line and my favorite toy line, so I have all the figures on card up here on the top shelf. They're not going to be worth anything, but that's not the point. The point is I like seeing them on card, but the weird thing I never noticed is that the card changed so much between releases. Like, if you look at Midoriya here, you notice that the My Hero is smaller, the name's in a different font, it's also larger than it is on the other figures. And going up top, you see that the line designs are different. That happens a lot in McFarlane My Hero figures, where the cards just change dramatically. I don't know why. And then going over, just a few more miscellaneous figures. I have the Doom Patrol, my favorite superhero team. That's an Abe Sapien that my brother-in-law gave to me. A couple of random Legacy Transformers and Robot Heroes. That's the Revoltech Lupin and Jigen from Lupin III. I love having them. Castle Cagliostro is one of my favorite movies. And then I have boxed real monster figures. Missing Chrome. I need to get Crumb someday. And then there's also that Tracer we don't talk about. And then behind that, there's a Boba Fett candy machine, because I had nowhere else to put it. He does make noises, though. Oh, he did make noises. Oh, no. Oh, it's his belt I have to push.
Put Captain Solo in the cargo hold.
Ah, that's good. I mentioned that many shelves were moved as I kind of expanded and shrunk the collection in various ways. This is one of them. The Simpsons figures is now on one of the movie shelves. And I've actually got a few more. Like, I have the Van Houtens now. Don't have Milhouse. I have his parents. I have Miss Hoover. Honestly, like, the only characters I need now to look at this and be like, oh, I have everyone I could possibly need is I would like a Milhouse and I would like an Apu. Apu, admittedly, like, I don't want him for importance. He has kind of soured in the mouth. I don't know if I need him, but I would like the Milhouse. And you may notice I don't have a Bart. Like I said, I have almost all the ones I need. Down below, I have my Midoriya shelf. I showed this a few weeks back for my birthday. I actually have a few more Midoriya figures. I have a new Van Presto right there. And then I just reviewed that Chronicle figure. It's very good. It's a lot smaller than the Skeletor shelf, but I do really enjoy it. And as you can see, so I have a huge VHS collection. So what I occasionally do when I have figures of different sizes that the normal spice racks wouldn't work, I just repurpose the VHS tapes. It's cheap, it's tacky. I know it's probably a disgrace to collecting, but it's what I have available. I can't spend that much money on my shelving. Down below, this is a very new collection for me. It's my Muppet figures. I actually have a good deal more. As you saw, I have a lot there still in package. These are just the ones that I've been able to open so far, but they're so good. These are from Palisades Toys that came out around the early 2000s. Like, I have the Steppin' Out Fonzie, and there's something funny to me about a dummy holding a dummy. Waldorf and Statler, two of my absolute favorite Muppets. Floyd Pepper, who, in all honesty, it's either him or Kermit is my favorite Muppet. I don't know which one. And of course I have Gonzo. That's like a special edition Uncle Deadly, like it was a convention exclusive, yet he goes for way cheaper than the normal Uncle Deadly. I'm not sure why. I like his colors way more. Granted, it's less accurate, I suppose. I really hope this is going to expand a lot, because I have a lot more Palisades figures. I just bought a lot of the Diamond Select Muppets, so I think this is going to look real nice when I get a few more figures going. Then I just have an empty shelf, which I actually like. It actually makes me feel less stressed about the collection, knowing that I have places I can go still. Speaking of which, there's another empty shelf. Now we have a Doctor Who shelf. As I mentioned, I kind of fell into a large collection of Doctor Who figures. This is where I've been putting them. As you can see, I have the new Paradigm Daleks, and okay, I'm gonna nerd out. I don't know if anyone watching this would necessarily care. I love the new Paradigm Daleks. I hate that they were so, like, quickly dropped because the fans hated their colors, but I love it. Like, it might be because my first Dalek was Dalek Sec, who, by the way, hello Dalek Sec. I have the human version of him. But I like the Daleks to have a little bit more personality, so I liked the new Paradigm Daleks. I was excited to see where they would go. But then I also have some Taurans and Weeping Angels. I have multiple 11th Doctors, just because that's how you had to get the Daleks, the Paradigm Daleks. I have multiple 12th Doctors too, but that's just because I like the 12th Doctor. Got a Davros and a couple of Cybermen. That's the original look for the Cybermen. That's the Cyber Leader, which I like a lot. Going over, have one version of the Master. That's when he was Prime Minister of England. And then got a couple more Cybermen. My favorite companion of all time, Clara. But of course I also have a Sarah Jane. And then all the Doctors. I currently have... oh wait, no, they're all up here. Yes, I thought I... No, I'm missing number 7. That's what I thought. I'm going to review 7, so that's why he's not up here. But I do have all the Doctors, and I have them proudly displayed in order alongside my favorite companions. I wish I could have Davros right there, because my idea was like I'd have the Master and Davros, the Doctor's arch enemies, on either end, but his chair is just too big. Going down, I love this shelf. It's the Skeletor shelf. Unlike the Midoriya shelf, there's a lot more here, but it's a lot less diverse, just because almost all these are Mattel figures. The only exceptions like that Kiki Tiki there, and then I also have the Super 7 Muscle. Well, come to think of it, that Filmation Skeletor was Super 7 too. But yeah, just every time I see a Skeletor, I gotta pick him up. He's the single most toyetic design out there. I think every toy you make of him is gonna look good in some way. Especially when they do things like this. I don't know what this guy's called, but like the 2000X Demon Armor Skeletor. It just looks phenomenal. Speaking of which, there's the New Eternia Skeletor, which is supposed to also be Mark Taylor's original Skeletor concept. It's a 2-in-1 figure. I hate that review bombed, because that honestly is my favorite Skeletor right now. But oh well, we'll take it one more down. Oh, well, I guess we can talk about this guy. That is a Chase 1 of 5000 Sting from AEW. I keep it on my wrestling DVD shelf. I'm not the biggest fan of Sting. Like, I'm happy to have him, but I actually had the Chase of Cody they did way before, but I had to sell it off to make rent one time, so the reason I had that Sting is really just because I wish I still had that Cody. But then down below, we have my G1 Transformers shelf, or what I call G1 Transformers. There's a pretty big exception to that rule. But you know, G1 is such an interesting toy line. There's a lot of character and quirks to it. I don't think it's the absolute greatest toy line ever. I don't even think it's the best toy line of the 80s, but I like it. Weirdly enough, the things I like the most are the things that most people dislike. Like, I love the Action Masters, the Pretenders. Good God, I wish I had more Pretenders. And for those wondering, that is Fans Project Glacial Lord. It was a fan recreation of Scramble City combiners that turn into, like, Ice Age beasts. Honestly, it's the best combiner I own in the G1 style. And as you can see by Swindle and Scrapper there, I've gone through a few. But they're still fun. It's a good little shelf. I just got a hard head. I'm excited to finally have a headmaster, but he's not on the shelf yet. And then, like I said, empty shelf for the sake of my mental well-being. This small shelf is entirely new. I just built it recently, and I kind of hate that it's white. It kind of throws off the rest of the color scheme of the room, but it's alright, and it fits the space I need it to go in. But even though I don't like the color, I do like a number of the shelves actually on it. From that Palisades Muppet toy line, this is the Pigs in Space playset. It's just so much fun. They gave you multiple backdrops, so you can have each and every backdrop they had in all the original episodes. These doors snap open. And then all the things on the console here are removable. The levers move, for God's sake. Just so much care went into this. And I do have the entire cast of Pigs in Space. Link Hogthrob, Dr. Julius Strangepork, and of course First Mate Piggy. Couldn't forget her. I also keep Adventure Kermit up here just because I figure, you know, their Star Trek parodies, he's an Indiana Jones parody. They kind of work together. As for that skull, it came with Uncle Deadly. That skull is actually a recurring character on the Muppets. And the skit I know him from the most is when Christopher Reeve was on the show and they did Hamlet, Link bust out on the scene. So, kind of as a tribute to one of my favorite guest stars, I have the skull still hanging out with Link. Behind them, I actually have the Walmart exclusive General Grievous. I didn't want to take him out of the box, I just love it so much. But I don't have a better place for him, so he kind of hides behind the pigs for the moment. It's so the Jedi can't find him. Going down below, just another My Hero shelf. This is where I keep my unboxed 5-inch figures. I'm missing a Midoriya, that's where that gap is. It's because, I don't want to unbox any of the ones I have boxed. I have a damaged one from Big Bad Toy Store on the way, so he'll go there. Then I have all the Loyal Subjects, the Kawaii Titans, the few keychains I have. I have no idea what keychain that is. I just have that Bakugo. I like him a lot more than the other keychains, but I don't even know what the toy line is. Honestly, I hope that keeps going. I would love to see an Uraraka in the 5-inch line. I'd love to see the entire class in the 5-inch line, to be honest. Going down, this is where I keep my Masters of the WWE Universe figures. I had the entire toy line, but once it ended, there was just, I didn't feel it anymore. So I sold off most of them, kept the ones I wanted to keep. I will say this though, that Jake the Snake is one of the best figures I've ever bought. He's such a clever idea, he's so much fun to play with, he has so many great gimmicks to him. I think he's the absolute top tier of the Masters of the WWE Universe. Down another, that's my Fall of Cybertron / Transformers Prime shelf. At one point I was going to go really into Planet X, and I don't have the cash to do it. But I still love all these figures, so I give them their own shelf. That is the Mass Toys Rune. It's their take on a Cybertron glyph. It is one of my absolute favorite third-party figures. And she was unbelievably expensive because she was a TFCon exclusive. She was a holy grail of mine before I was able to find her. And then down below that, just what's left of the Dragon Ball figures. I got rid of almost all the Dragon Stars, save for a few, and then I have all my Figuarts still. And that's a Figuarts Loki just because I don't have a better place to put him. But, it's an alright shelf. In all honesty, if I start selling things off a lot again, these guys are probably going to go. That said, this guy is never going anywhere. This is my 3-foot-tall 501st Clone Trooper. He is going to be here until nothing else is, because I love him. He is my boy. Now this shelf probably looks pretty familiar. This is the Hamtaro shelf. Not a lot has changed. I still love these little guys. I actually just got the Nendoroid Hamtaro. I'm excited to put him up here. But then yeah, I also have a box Midoriya, which, that actually reminds me. I have a box Midoriya on the Montu shelf too. The Target near me had a lot of Midoriyas that were just kind of shelf warming, so I brought them home. I thought they could use a good spot in the collection. But he hangs out up there with Hamtaro. Going down one. That's where I keep my Bamprestos. See what I mean about the VHS tapes? It's not the most elegant solution, but these figures come in so many scales and take up so much space, it was the best I could do to keep them all visible. All honesty, I love the Bamprestos. They're like the only figure here that I was even kind of somewhat disappointed by was Hawks, and even then that was because I was putting way too much hype behind him. The things like all the Urakas, the Bakugos I have, the Kirishima I have, honestly, the Shigaraki, even things like the Denki. Like, so many of these have such great personality and character. I want to go more in on this line. I just bought the Dobby from BBTS. I just had a pre-order come in. And then got some blind bags just to kind of go with them. Down below, we have my 7-inch My Hero line. I am almost complete loose. I have the variant of Mirio on the way. But otherwise, I have every figure that they've done for the line so far. And here in the front, I have the amazing Yamaguchi Midoriya and Bakugo, as well as the Figma Uraraka. And I also have the Figma Midoriya on the way. BBTS is sending me a lot in the next few days. Just a spectacular toy line. I know it's not for everyone, but for me, like, there's nothing that makes me as happy as finding out that there's more of these guys out in the wild and going on the hunt for them. I'm so excited. They're doing Hawks and Overload next, I'm pretty sure. So that's going to be a lot of fun, trying to get those guys. Going down one, and these are my Season 1 G1 Autobots. So everyone who showed up in Season 1 of the G1 cartoon. As you can see, I don't have all the Dinobots. I'm waiting for Studio Series to do the entire 5. Sludge should be coming out soon, so that's exciting. And then I have the original 18, except for Gears. I'm missing Gears. I'm waiting for them to do a new one because I don't want that Thrilling 31, even though he looks very good, and I love the swerve. Down below, these are Season 2 Autobots. And then if there was a character like Optimus Prime that I had multiple figures of, this is where I put the second figure. I just realized, you probably noticed I have 2 Bumblebees on both of these shelves. Well, that's because that one isn't Bumblebee. It's actually Bumper. That's why he has Cliffjumper's hood. Same thing with that guy. So I actually have Bumblebee and Bumper both here, and even though Bumper was in the G1 cartoon, I rationalized he was on the shelf during that time, so it's as good a spot as I need to put his figure. And then of course we have Seasons 3 and 4 down here. Much maligned in the G1 cartoon continuity, but I like Season 3. It's my favorite season of the cartoon. And honestly, a lot of their designs are really solid. I love a lot of these figures. That Skylynx especially is probably one of the best Transformers I own. which is a shame because he's right next to that RC, one of the worst Transformers I own. To be fair, that highbrow is also not very good. But I do like when they do these more wild sci-fi designs. I'm really excited to get more. I think they're doing Juck Heap before too much longer. Next to my G1 figures, I have my Generations Beast Wars shelf. So, mostly Kingdom guys, but you see I have like the Universe Dinobot, the Legends Black Widow, Power of the Primes, Optimal Optimus, the King Neptune. I don't have any of the Piranacons, I just got these guys. Can't say I'm that disappointed, I like these guys more. But yeah, I love the Kingdom figures so much. I think they perfectly recaptured the Beast Wars vibe and energy. The only one of these figures I don't really like is that Megatron. And even, like, I admit, that Megatron's very impressive, it's just not for me. I'm so excited to get Tarantulas, he looks so good. I hope Legacy gets us more Beast Wars characters. I want to Transmelt 2 Megatron so badly. But above them, just miscellaneous retro and vintage figures. I have my LG and wrestling figures, I have old G.I. Joe. I have a lot of the Playmates Star Trek figures. Burger King Mewtwo, Dungeons and Dragons, Wizard of Oz, still one of my best reviews, those Wizard of Oz figures. A lot of Toy Biz Marvel in the back, a Ronin Warrior, just everything, a little bit of everything. And also, I got that Farmer Picard from All Good Things, the last episode of Next Generation. The reason I got that is because he looks just like Captain Rex. I'm going to review him one day and say that's just supposed to be for Captain Rex, I think. But I like this shelf. A lot of just good 80s and 90s charm to be found here. Above those figures, we have the absolute centerpiece of my collection, Castle Grayskull from Masters of the Universe Classics. I mean, just look at this thing. Good lord. The paint and the sculpting. How organic it looks. Oh, I love this thing. It is the best thing the Four Horsemen have ever done, I think. I have it surrounded by my Masters Origins good guys, or at least my preferred versions of them, because it looks like the castle is being held by evil hands. Battle Armor Skeletor, still one of the absolute best Skeletors they've made ever, I think. Likewise, I love that special edition Battle Armor He-Man, the one with battle damage that had the vac metallized chest piece. He's really good, even though I don't like the Battle Cat he came with. But they're the ones that get to occupy that Castle Grayskull, which it's how it should be done. I know a lot of people have gone on to me for like not keeping the classics figures on there. I don't have enough classics figures for that. And besides, like, I could take all those figures off and that castle would still look just as good. They are not making the castle is making them presentable. We have a lot of miscellaneous things going on here, just because I don't have a better place to put a lot of stuff. So I have my Lego Winnie the Pooh set. I love that so much. I've never really gone into it. Winnie the Pooh means a lot to me. He's one of my absolute favorite characters. He's got me through a lot of depressing episodes, so I like having just this little depiction of him. And then I got both versions of the Tamagotchi R2-D2. I don't know how. I didn't pay for either of them. I just have them. To the side, I have that Mego Willy Wonka, another one of the reviews that I think I did a really good job on. I love that one a lot, even though that figure is pretty terrible. And then I have AEW's LJN Cuddy, just the blue one. I don't like how the red one looks. And then I also have my boxed Clone Wars Ahsoka. It's not that she's worth that much money, it's just Ahsoka's my favorite Star Wars character. That's my favorite costume for her. It came from my favorite arc of the Clone Wars, so kept it boxed. Down below, these are from Burger King. They are the Lost in Time SpongeBob figures. They're my favorite Happy Meals of all time. I have so many good memories of me and my sisters trying to hunt all of these down. I just got them recently, and I love having them, even though it's unfortunate. In hindsight, some of these figures are probably not okay. I'm looking specifically at Conquistador SpongeBob, and I think they call that one Samurai SpongeBob. But they're cute. They're nice. I love that Canadian Mountie SpongeBob. He just looks so angry. And weirdly enough, they did actually fit in, like, they did Sponge Ung, or whatever they called Caveman SpongeBob, and the reason they did this line was because of the Dungeons and Dragons special. And you have Night SpongeBob, but even that's not how he looked in the special. So, kind of interesting how that plays out. And then I also have my reaction SpongeBob figures. I don't have normal SpongeBob anymore because he fell down and his nose broke off. And that's a shame. I have another one on the way, but I still have the rest, and they hang out with the Burger King guys. Down below, as you can see, I have gotten rid of almost all my G.I. Joes. But I did keep some Cobra guys. Those bats are amazing. I still love them. Then just some Cobra troops, some officers here in the front, Cobra Commander, and that's still the Target exclusive Cobra troop. He's still my favorite one. I think his deco's a bit better than the retail Cobra guys, to be honest. Below that, we have just some Marvel figures. I really sold off a lot of Marvel Legends, just a massive purge. But these are the ones I couldn't part with, and then I also have a random Spawn, because I have nowhere else to put him. I just got that Hulk. The 20th Anniversary Hulk is unbelievably solid. Like him a lot. And then I have Strange Supreme still. Both Dr. Dooms. I have 2 Dr. Dooms, and 3 Magnetos, and 2 Spider-Men. Well, that's just how it goes sometimes. And that Venom. I was holding off on him because I don't like the movie that much, but that Venom is very remarkable. I'm going to do a review of him before too long. Out of every collection, this is the one that's been reduced the most. All the turtles are gone, save for these very special ones. I still have Shredder and Baxter, and then I have all of the 2003 guys I would have grown up with or really wanted as a kid, and then the movie Real Turtles. And I just realized I also have the Batman Joker here because he has nowhere else to go, but he kind of fits with the 2003 Turtles. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to ever sell these guys just because they're a bit too nostalgic, but the Turtles, I went way too hard on that collection way too quickly. I burned myself out fast. So, this is one of my many miscellaneous Transformer shelves. Basically, these are Transformers from movies or shows that do not have their own shelf. So I have a little bit of Armada, I have the crossovers, a lot of Cyberverse and RID. I still like a lot of these figures, it's just I don't have enough that I want to show, or I just don't own enough, period, to justify giving them their own shelf. That said, there's definitely Transformer lines I want to get more of. Like, you can see Energon Toe line there. He's so much fun. I want to get more Energon figures, but not many come my way. But what I will say is, like, Cyberverse, sure, there's not a lot of good Cyberverse figures, but the ones that are good are spectacular. Like, all the deluxes are great. Like, Adams is such a fun Build-A-Figure. She's kind of covered up with that RC, one of the best RCs ever made. I'm sorry, but she is. I love the Quintesson. Rack and Ruin! For God's sake, they made a Rack and Ruin. And also, Clobber is just the best. She's the best Lugnut we've ever had. But yeah, this is a fun shelf. I like looking at it. And also, that is the most underrated Optimus Prime design ever. I love the RID 2015 Optimus. He just looks like a super robot. Going up. And yeah, we get to the Mario shelf. These are almost all just World Nintendo guys. The one exception is that Bowser. But such a phenomenal line. Just all the way around. And they've had so many characters. They're so diverse. It's just so much fun to look at. They almost have all the Koopa kids. We're just missing a few. I hope they get them all done. Even if I have to like mix 2-inch with 5-inch, I don't care. I just want all the Koopa kids. Mario and Waluigi there scheming. I just have fun with these guys. I'm so excited. That Daisy and Princess Rosalind just came out, and it feels like we are almost at a place where we could have the complete Mario roster, which is saying something. Definitely something we'll never say about Sonic. Above Mario, we have the other Castle Grayskull. I do have the Origins Grayskull. I keep it open, and that's where I keep almost all the Evil Warriors. I have all my absolute favorites just there with Skeletor in the throne room. Yeah, I am that person who would say that Stinkor, Ninjor, and Merman were on the same level as Evil and Skeletor. And then I have Zodak, like, talking to Triclops and Trapjaw. I know he's technically not evil, but do remember that he was on the bad guy's side in the first wave of the toy line. So that's kind of the reference there. Have that... I love that Mosquitoer. Every Mosquitoer just is in its own way an interesting and amazing figure. Have another Hordak and a Scareglow. And then down below, got the Flocked Panther, got Beastman, got Jitsu. I have him in a place where I don't have to look at him. And then also, I've never reviewed him, but that web store is very solid. I need to take a look at him one day. I'm not as big on the Origins Grayskull. I think it doesn't hold a candle to the Classics one, but for what it is, it's alright. I used to have Rexy from Jurassic World up here, but now this is where I keep the animated figures. And I think it works. I love giving them a major spot in the collection. I don't have many of them, but I finally got all of the 5 main Autobots. Albeit, Cybertron Prime and Elite Guard Bumblebee, but in all honesty, like, Elite Guard Bumblebee is the one I had as a kid, so I kind of prefer it that way. I want to expand this collection more, but the figures are so expensive, which they should be. They're great, they're popular, I'm happy to see that. I also wish I could have them. Down below, so I have so many finger puppets that I basically made Finger Puppet Hall of Fames, where all of my absolute favorite ones get on a shelf. That's not everything here's a finger puppet. I still have the original Jesse and James with them. Have Incineroar, have a Halucha, but yeah, I love these so much. They're my favorite thing Pokemon has ever done in terms of toys, because they have a uniform style, they're all about the same size, they look good together, they look good apart, they have a charming style to them, and it's the only time I've seen, like, Ditto and Sewaddle, like a Gen 1 and then a Gen 5 or Gen 6 Pokemon, like, look good together, because there was changes in the art style over time, but the finger puppets kind of just accounted for it. Also, I do have Woobat up there. I hate how many people, like, talk trash on Woobat. Woobat's amazing. Swoobat's better, but Woobat's amazing. And then down below, just even more. Have the Deoxys corner. I have a couple of Dragonites, like, that one's okay, but that one with the bag from the first Pokemon movie, just utterly spectacular. I love that one. I'm getting to a point where I feel like I could, like, do, like, just nothing but Pokemon videos, and I'd have a lot of content. I would never want to do that, but it's definitely something I could do with how much I have. And I'm just getting more every day. Not every day, but I'm getting more a good bit. Like that Vaporeon I just got a little while ago. I almost have all the evolutions. I'm just missing, let's see, I'm missing Jolteon and Leafeon. And then I'm also missing Espeon and Umbreon, but I don't feel like I'm ever going to find those at Planet Fun. They're too popular. And then also, Sleepy Slowpoke. Funnily enough, the Slowpoke, the paint has scraped off his eye, but it looks like he's just waking up. It's adorable. But yeah, that's the great thing about the finger puppets, is even if they're worn, they still have a charm to them, because they're kids. They were kid toys, and I love that. Going down one, and this is my generation shelf for only Season 1 Decepticons. And as you can see, there weren't many Decepticons in the first season. Got the Rainmakers, which, good lord, like, I love the Siege Seeker mold, but I feel like that was the worst use of them. I hate the full color thing. Even Acid Storm looks bad. I hate saying that. I love Acid Storm. That's a KO Devastator, so he's more in scale with the other bots. It's what I prefer. And then, of course, I have the Earthrise Seekers, have the Netflix Soundwave and Shockwave. That's the first Netflix Megatron. I think he looks the best out of anyone who used that mold. Have Hot Link there. Got the Refractors. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I want the Deluxe Insecticons. That kickback was just so amazing. I hope we get them. I'm really worried that's gonna be a thing where, like, once again we only get kickback. But you know what? If that does happen, it's okay. Shrapnel and Bombshell were good, as it were. It was that kickback that I really didn't like. Now that stops the fact that he's still in the collection. But Season 2 Decepticons, and just like before, if I have an extra of a character then I put them down here. That's why I still have my Classics original trio. Got the 30th anniversary Megatron, got the Siege Soundwave. I really hope this shelf expands. Well, it's going to, because we're getting all the Stunticons. But yeah, I still, out of all the seasons, this one feels the most bare, which is weird because there's way more figures here than season 1 above. There's something sterile about it. But that's okay because season 3 totally makes up for it. Like, look at how diverse the designs got for seasons 3 and 4. And it helps that there's so many great figures here. That's Slugslinger, one of the best Titans Returns figures, and no one ever talks about him. And then you have Runamuck and Runabout. You have the Galvatron trio. My absolute favorite combiner, Abominus, has a really good figure. Like, all the figures here, the only one I really don't like is the Quintesson. But even he's really solid. And I mean, what are you going to do with the Quintesson? Yeah, just due to how I set these shelves up, we're going to have to go about them in a bit different way than before. We're still going to see them all, but instead of going straight up and down, it's going to be a lot more side-to-side action, just because the Star Wars shelves are actually set up in chronological order to some extent, so bear with me. We're going to start right here in the middle of the shelves to show off what was once just a GoBot shelf, but is now a little bit of everything. Well, actually, no, I only have Masterpiece Soundwave. The rest of these guys are third party. That's the Ocular Max Acela prototype colors, which is amazing. It's just G1 toy colors for RC. Got the Fan Toys Arch Enemy, still the best Masterpiece I own. That is... oh my, what is that? It's from Orden. I don't remember the company, though. It's a third party blot. And then, of course, I have all my GoBots, as well as the Kingdom Road Ranger, which... that orange guy is supposed to be that Beachcomber come Optimus Prime looking guy there. That's just what BotCon did. I don't know why we can't just get Huffer in Optimus Prime colors so I can have a proper Road Ranger, but that's what they do. And then I just found this guy at this shop. It is the Target exclusive Droids Boba Fett, which looks spectacular. I love the box art. Going over, and these are basically Transformer characters or figures that mean a lot to me that have nowhere else to go. Specifically that trip to con. But like I have the Open and Play Big Cannon, which was their improved Titans Return Galvatron. It's very good. Have Stratosphere, have the Toy Accurate Black Arachnia, Siege, Thundercracker, RID Skywarp. Just a lot of odds and end figures. Combiner Wars Menasor, which is the figure that made me want to be a collector. So even though I'm going to replace him on the Generation shelf, he gets to hang out here now. Going over, and basically I just have Black Series vehicles. I have Ray's Speeder, I have the Snow Speeder, which is still like just an absolute work of art. I love that thing. Then Dewback. Then I have Luke and Dak just still hanging out with it. That was a gift from my sister. It's a Happy Meal toy. It's is it Sith Troopers? I actually forget. They're not First Order when they're red. And then I got my Star Wars dolls. That Count Dooku is really spectacular. Like, if you're a fan of Christopher Lee or Count Dooku or dolls, pick that one up. He's solid. Galaxy of Adventures of Ahsoka and the Clone Troopers are still up here, as well as all my Unleashed guys. Galaxy of Adventures, I still own all of them, I just don't have a better place to put them. So I put the ones that mean a lot up here, and the rest I'll find a home for later. On this shelf, I have all of the prequel figures, or at least characters that you would have seen in the prequels. There used to be Battle Droids on that back shelf. They all fell over, as you can see. And I've put this shelf back together so many times I can't be bothered anymore. I'm going to sell those Battle Droids. I'm waiting until I just have the lack of patience to do it. There's my Grievous. Still a good figure. You know what I hate about Black Series figures, though? Because the lightsabers are removable, they snap so easily. Look at Anakin there. His lightsaber looks weird, right? It's because he fell and the lightsaber snapped. Obi-Wan's is about to snap as well. It's awful. I wish that it was just one-piece lightsabers. I don't know why we can't just go back to that. And then also, that's the cheap, like, Dollar Tree Star Wars. I got the Darth Vader. It looks alright. It's very small. But I just keep it there. He's prequel Vader. Not quite right. Also, that Elite TC-14, very solid. One of the best droid figures I own. She's a bit tall for the other figures, but, you know, she's shiny, so there's that. Going over 1, this is the only shelf that breaks the continuity of this supposed to be a coherent timeline, because it's the 501st shelf. 501st is my favorite Clone Legion, Ahsoka and Rex are my favorite characters. It kind of had to happen. But I do have Rex and Echo hanging out here on the side. I also have the Clone Wars Anakin. I don't have the Obi-Wan. I still need to get the Obi-Wan, but Anakin looks great. Then I have that Ahsoka again, with Ahsoka's troops in the back, and then Hawk, a couple of normal 501st guys, and then I loaded up on the 501st Jet Troopers. I need more normal 501st guys. I have an order from BBTS, but they've not come in yet. Going over, this is the proper Clone Wars shelf. It's definitely a lot more diverse. Well, I say that, you see like 50 Camino clones, because I went super hard in on those guys. But I just love it when they do Clone Wars figures. They're always such unique and interesting designs, and because of the Filoni cartoons, basically, they're my favorite Star Wars characters. Like Cad Bane and Orr saying those two were standouts. That might be the best Obi-Wan they ever did. That Plo Koon might be the best figure in the whole line. Fordo is an amazing clone. Bly is great. Hunter and Crosshair are spectacular. I actually own 2 of them. I have 2 here, and then the rest are on the Bad Batch shelf, which we will get to in a minute. But I love my Clone Wars collection. I hope this keeps up. Also, I just realized I've not talked about these guys. I have a lot of Mission Fleet figures that I just keep with the Black Shelf or the Black Series shelves. So, like, I loaded up on those Shock Troopers, but as you can see, I have a few others, like more Shock Troopers, but also Battle Droids, Ahsoka, Anakin, Rex, and then over here I have Obi-Wan, Maul, Mandalorian. That Boba Fett is really funny, really good. I love that Boba. I love every Boba. I don't know why I try to say, oh, I love this one. Find a Boba I don't like. That'd be the challenge. Over here we have the Fallen Order and Bad Batch shelves. It's filling up well. I love the designs from the game and the show both. And then yeah, I got a lot of Elite Squad Troopers. They just look so cool. I'm sorry. That's still one of the best clone figures. I love that Imperial Shock Troop. And then Imperial Crosshair, which it's a mixed bag, but still a good figure. Still love that first sister, or second sister. My apologies. That Rex, the Rex is good. I'm gonna review him eventually, but I hate how the paint has forced his kilt. I guess I don't actually remember what the proper name is, but it's sponged up. I don't like it. And then of course the Bad Batch looks great. That Wrecker is just spectacular. Can't wait to get the Echo and the Omega. Those are finally starting to come out. And then, you know, more Mission Fleet guys down here. Going back from where we started, we moved down, and this is my Solo and Rebels shelf. So, yeah, pretty much all the Solo guys are in the back, because aside from Lando in that movie, I didn't really care for the Solo movie. I'm sorry. I know that there's fans out there. There's good parts. It wasn't for me. That Minbon Stormtrooper is very good, though. I love him. And then I have a Thrawn. I have that Mayfex Stormtrooper here. Jackson Rabot, which is still the most obscure character in this toy line, but it's great. I love the Rebels show. It really grew on me, especially after like the first few episodes where I was just disappointed it wasn't Clone Wars because I was a teenager. That Elite Vader is spectacular, especially if you want like a Vader that is as big to the characters as he was in the Rebels show. Like, go for him. He fits the shelf and the vibe spectacularly. And also, behind Chopper, that is a Vincent Van Gogh Stormtrooper that my friend Amanda gave me. I keep it here because, well, originally Thrawn was in front of where Chopper was, so it was like Thrawn has a piece of art, but I had to move Thrawn to the back because I wanted as many of the main characters in the front as I could get. Speaking of, the shelf has filled up way too much. I need to start figuring out what I'm going to do, but this is Rogue One and also Episode 4. What can I say? I love Shore Troopers. Shore Troopers might be my favorite type of Stormtrooper. They just look so cool together. I want to get more, despite how many I have. Hover Tank Pilots. I have all the main characters. I'm so happy they finally did Bodhi. He looks so good. He's way better than that Elite Bodhi I was trying to use. Oh, wow. I love him. Love him, love him, love him. And then, of course, I have the actual stars of Star Wars here in the front. Multiple Lukes, multiple Hans, multiple Leias. They really need to redo Han in Stormtrooper Disguise, because look, you have like modern face scan Luke, modern face scan Leia, and then that awful, awful Han. That's an elite R2 unit. I don't know what that character's name is. I just like it a lot. Found it plant fun. And then poor old Ben. I was so excited to finally get him. His lightsaber had already snapped in the box. I hate it. I hate it because that's a really good figure. I love that old Ben. Also, I like that Tusken Raider a lot. I need to pick up more of him. I want to get more Tusken Raiders and put it on a Book of Boba Fett shelf when I finally have enough figures for that. But then going over, my favorite of the Star Wars shelves, it is the Empire Strikes Back. They've not done like a lot of figures, but there's not a lot of characters in Empire, to be fair. Got a lot of Hoth Rebels, and then I said the Shore Troopers. In all honesty, the AT-AT driver is my favorite type of Stormtrooper. I love the design. It's so cool. It's so cool. Plus, they're General Veers' troops, and General Veers is my favorite Imperial because he won. So I have a lot of him. And then, of course, in the back we have... I was actually kind of proud of this. I kind of told the story in 3 acts with 3 versions of each character. So you have Hoth, Luke, Han, and Leia. And then you have Act 2, where you have Leia and Han working in the Millennium Falcon, and Luke on Dagobah. And then you have Bespin Leia, Bespin Luke, and Han and Carbonite. Just kind of telling the story. That's probably not that impressive, but I was happy with it. Have Piet and Vader, Ghost, Obi-Wan and Lando, Boba, Veers right there, my favorite. That deluxe Dagobah Luke might be the best Black Series figure. It's so good. So many accessories, such great articulation. It looks just like more Camel. And then more Mission Fleet guys, because why not? But yeah. In all honesty, like, I want more Empire figures, but I kind of like how this shelf looks so much. I don't know if I'd actually want to put them on it. The exact opposite of that shelf is the Episode 6 and Original Expanded Universe shelf. That Jabba really murdered the shelf. Don't get me wrong, I love that Jabba. I just got him. I'm so happy because he was the biggest missing void of my collection. But he's so big. And he's made it kind of hard to actually put the rest of the figures up here. But there's still good stuff here. Like, I love the Force Unleashed Stormtroopers they've done. I have both versions of Revan. I don't have the Jedi Revan. I still need to get him. I can't wait to get more of Delta Squad. That boss is spectacular. Got another Thrawn. I have 3 Thrawns. I have all 3 versions of Thrawn they've done. And then I also like this. Like, Luke is cradling the dead Vader, and Palpatine's just like, meh. But, yeah, like, it's not the figures. The figures are great. It's just my poor ability to display the characters that make me dislike the shelf. Coming over, and this is where we keep the Mandalorian stuff. When I say Mandalorian, I also have Inferno Squad back here, because they have nowhere else to go. You know what? This is the canon between Episode 6 and 7 shelf, let's put it that way. And then I also have the new Stormtrooper. Such a great figure. I need to review him. That's my favorite Stormtrooper, by the way. Just utterly spectacular. And then I have another Stormtrooper, the carbonized one. The Mandalorian figures, like, of course the show is great. We all love the show. The figures are really good. They've gone the extra mile with the Mandalorian stuff, which, to be fair, Pedro Pascal is carrying Star Wars on his back right now, so good for him, good for them. I hope we get more of the Armorer. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this. The Armorer is my favorite Mandalorian character. I just think she's the most interesting. But then we'll go over one, and this is where I keep my 3 3/4 inch shelf. A lot of these guys are from childhood, so yeah, I have a lot of Clone Wars Clone Troopers. I don't care. And then I have a lot of Tartakovsky Clone Wars figures too here in the front. I'm not as big on 3 3/4 inch. Like, they just aren't for me. I don't think I'll ever want to sell any of these figures though, because they do have nostalgia, and you know, there's some figures and characters who are only ever been in 3 3/4 inch. But then we get over. This is a shelf I don't get to add to a lot, but I love it when I get to. This is my vintage shelf, as well as the Power... I want to say Power of the Primes. It's Power of the Jedi. No, it's Power of the Force. There we are. Yeah. have that really handsome Jabba and the bounty hunters. That Boba's okay, to be fair, and that Bosk is amazing. And then over there we have Tarkin and some Imperials, but no, the star of the shelf are all the retro figures. I have a Boba for every shelf, because I have the vintage Boba, I have retro Mandalorian Boba, I have retro Empire Boba, and then I have the prototype Boba. And then just, there's so many great figures in the vintage line that are just so endearing and charming. I love the AT-AT Commander. I love the Imperial Commander. The Medical Droid is great. Is that one Nikto? I think that one's Nikto. He's also very good. I want to get more vintage Star Wars figures because they're just so appeasing. But I don't know if I'm going to get that far into it. It's a pretty expensive line. Up next we have the sequel shelf, which is filled to the brim because I went crazy on First Order Stormtroopers because they were at the Dollar Tree for $1 and they look good. They look really good standing in formation, just with the rest. Often maligned, the sequels, but I'll stand by them. The first two movies are good, and I love so many of the characters. They had great ideas. Execution wasn't spectacular, but there's a lot of good there. They are better movies than the prequels. I will die on that hill. The issue is they don't have a Clone Wars cartoon to redeem them the way the prequels do. Like, fight me on that real quick. If the prequels didn't have Dave Filoni and the Clone Wars cartoon, would anyone admire the prequels the way they do? Because I know I would. The prequels are only made meaningful because Filoni salvaged it. And I think you could do the same thing with the sequels before too long. But just very solid all around. A lot of good figures in here. And then also I have some Disney Park figures. I think that's Captain Cardinal? Yeah, they're fun. But I gotta say, like, some of my absolute favorite Black Series figures come from these waves. Like, that original Kylo Ren is still nostalgic for me. It's weird that it's nostalgic, but it's been 8 years. It's nostalgic. But that does it for the Star Wars shelves. I mentioned how many miscellaneous Transformer shelves I have, and keep in mind, each of these bottom shelves are a Transformer shelf, as well as just random shelves along the way. I figure at this point the best thing to do is just to go through each of them, and then when we get to those final two, because there's something big up there, we'll change up tact again. They've been moved, but they've only grown. I still have all of my Mattel DC figures, and I've actually gotten far more recently. I just got Giganta recently. I'm so close to having the full Legion of Doom. I'm so excited. Only McFarlane figures I still have are, I have the Batman figures, and then I have the 3 Jokers. I'm sorry, I don't like it. I don't like those toys. I'd rather just get as full a collection I could of the Mattel figures and call that my DC collection. With one rather prime exemption. That NECA Superman is the best Superman I've ever had. It's the best comic book figure I've ever had. I love that Superman. And he works. He works with the collection, I think. But so many great figures. Like, no one talks about that Dark Side, but that's one of the best connecting, or Build-A-Figures ever. I was going to call it Connect and Collect, because that's what they called it. But it's a Build-A-Figure. How many no-names did they make? Like, does anyone remember Mantis? Does anyone care about... Well, people care about Steppenwolf now. Does anyone care about Cytron or Cyclone? I can't remember what that guy's name is, even. I got him for $5. But it's just great, especially if you're like me and you like the Silver Age. Down below that, I call this the IDW shelf. Basically just Generations figures of characters who showed up in IDW, but there's exceptions to that. It's just a miscellaneous shelf, really. Got a lot of, like, I love that Skybite. I want to find him a better home, because he's one of my favorite Transformers. Same thing with that Roadbuster. Oh, I'm so excited. We're going to have a new crankcase. I need to get Misfire. But Misfire's like $300, but we're so close to having the Scavengers. Maybe one day. But, yeah, I like these figures a lot, even though there are a lot of no names and characters that have better figures. Hello, Bumblebee. But they're special to me because they look like the IDW versions, and IDW is my favorite Transformer fiction. And also, when you get like Deluxe Fangry and Skybite and Redwing and Overlord on the shelf together, does that not make it just a little bit awesome? These guys, these are my concept figures. I still have them in the box. I just moved them to be closer to the Star Wars guys. You can't see all of them as well as you could when I had them on the other shelf, but they also are a bit safer over here, so I'm okay with that. And besides, they're for me. They're not for anyone else to come in here and rummage through, I guess. Got another random Transformer shelf. This one is just random generation figures. I have like the Armada Megatron. I have the Generation Selects versions of the Cone Heads. Hey, Dropshot. Dropshot's so cool. Also, Dropshot, like, the only reason I have that figure is because Thew Adams sold it so hard. But it's okay. It makes me like it a little bit more. I literally have every version of the Siege Sideswipe mold. I love that mold. It's one of my favorite Transformer figures ever. So I got the full team. And they're spread out across multiple shelves. And then, of course, I got that Siege Hotshot, which is very, very good. I would love to see an Armada Hotshot redone, though. And then that Scourge. That Walmart Black Convoy doesn't do anything for me. The one that just got announced recently, I don't think it looks that good, but that Scourge, like, I wish I could just have a large version of that. Oh, I do! I have Arch Enemy up there! But still, this is the one I had when I was a younger collector. It's the one that I sought after as a younger collector, so he's always going to be a little bit more special than Arch Enemy could be. But Arch Enemy is still amazing. I've told you how much I love More Than Meets the Eye, or IDW. This is my More Than Meets the Eye shelf. It's bare, but I want to expand it out. Mastermind Creations figures are amazing. They're just a bit expensive for my budget when it comes to buying one figure. But I'm at least gonna get that Chrome Dome. I would like to get all of their figures though. That monokit Rodimus, just spectacular. It's the best Rodimus or Hot Rod I've ever had. Look at how perfectly they captured his design. I don't care if he doesn't transform. That design doesn't need to transform. He barely transformed in the comic. And then yeah, I just have my Universe Cyclonus back there. He was my childhood Cyclonus. He's one of my only childhood survivors. So he gets to like keep his spot, even if he doesn't really mesh that well within it. I say that as I show Combiner Wars Sunstreaker type. I'm not really mixing with the aesthetic. Only Nautica we still have, by the way. It's a shame. Oh, and I've never talked about this guy. I love this Kingdom Huffer mold. It's my favorite toy from Kingdom. That's Puffer. He's my favorite version of that mold. I'm going to review him eventually, just because he's spectacular. The only issue with him is he came in a 2-pack with Road Ranger, and not only are you buying the same mold twice, so it's kind of boring, but Road Ranger really does drag that guy down. But then we go from More Than Meets the Eye down to my Beast shelf. So these are all Beast Wars and Beast Machine figures, or modern Beast Wars characters that just didn't fit with the Generation shelf. But like, that's my vintage Primal. I spent so much money to get a complete vintage Primal, and then literally the next day they announced that they were re-releasing them. That's the Megatron I got on very deep clearance, by the way. Paralyzer, the only of the Wall Rooters I still have. I sold the rest. That Universe Tank Horse is still a lot of fun. Yeah, got Transketo. He's good. Scorponok, I kind of wish they did something better with his tail, but he's still a solid figure. Sonar, that's my childhood Beast Wars figure, so she gets to be right up in the front. And then also Night Viper. Like, I know everyone likes to talk about how the Beast Machines figures are terrible. They made a transforming snake, and it's honestly better than 90% of the Beast Wars figures. It really is. Track down Night Viper if you can. He's a bit expensive, but he's worth it. This is a bit of a weird shelf. It is my non-transforming Transformer shelf. I have a few that go to other shelves, like the Rodimus went to the IDW shelf, and the Red Prime figures went to the War for Cybertron shelf, but for the most part, this is where I keep them. I love non-transforming Transformers. In all honesty, like, I don't care about the vehicle modes. I like the characters. If I had it my way, we could just have, like, a Star Wars The Black Series-esque line with good quality materials, where we could get all the characters well painted, well sculpted, and just forget the vehicle modes. But I know that's very controversial, and people would probably say, oh, we have the red line. Red's good, it's fine, but come on, that plastic is nowhere near as nice as the Black Series materials are. But still, there's a lot of fun figures here. That red Megatron's so much fun. That Revoltech Megatron is spectacular. And then that's also a fan creation of a Rebeltech Dirge, which I bought because Dirge is my favorite Seeker. And then, of course, I have my reaction guys here in the front. I want to get more of the... I need to get the 3 reflectors they've done. I don't buy the Autobots. To be honest with you, I don't care for Autobots that much. I prefer to get toys of the Decepticons. And then down below, this is what's left of the movie collection. I was complete on the Studio Series, and then I realized way too late, wow, I don't like any of these figures, almost. So I kept a few, though. Like, I kept Shockwave and Sentinel. I kept all the characters from the original movie. I kept Movie 1 and Movie 2 Megatron. Movie 3 Megatron I hated, so sold them. And then I also keep, like, childhood favorites in here. Like, there's Landmine and Revenge of the Fallen Soundwave. It's something against the Studio Series. I think it's very impressive, but in all honesty, I like Studio Series a lot more that they're doing G1 and Bumblebee designs, because there's only so many gray and silver monsters I can buy without the shelf just looking utterly dreary. Finally hitting the final shelves of the toy room, and they are some of my absolute favorites. But before we get to them, let's talk about these guys we have up top. This is just another miscellaneous shelf. At first, it was just so I could have Dark Knight Batman, Dark Knight Joker, Superman Returns Superman, and Superman Returns Lex Luthor mint on card, and then I put C-3PO up there, and then just basically a lot of smaller figures that I don't have enough place to go. And look, another Boba Fett. How crazy. But I like this. I like this a lot, because it's just a little bit of everything I like is up here somehow. And yeah, there's the SDCC Thrawn. He hangs out up here with a Burger King Jabba. And, Bone-Crunching Action Kane, which, I don't know. A lot of just things that only I would like, I think. We have another miscellaneous shelf, this time a lot more Marvel themed, I just realized. Have a big Toy Biz Magneto, big TIE Pilot, that Alien Queen, a NECA Godzilla, some Transformers. A lot of the Marvel retro figures, I hate that toy line, I really do. It's not great, but I have so many of them because I'm a rube. However, I love that Diamond Select Hulkbuster, Marvel Select rather. It's absolutely work of art, my favorite Iron Man figure. And then that X-Men Classics Magneto is very good, he's just not that comic-oriented. And then VeggieTale guys, because why not? Dare I say why not? I love my wrestling shelves. I love my wrestling shelves. So I have broken them up into different eras because I have too many figures. This is what I call the Hulkamania shelf. Basically, anyone who would have been around before WrestleMania 6. In the back, you can see I have like Soul Man Rocky Johnson, The Rock's father, Cowboy Bob Orton, Randy Orton's dad, Junkyard Dog. I got that Vince McMahon with the horrible arm. It constantly falls off. Big Boss Man's good. Yeah, I have figures of the Warrior. Well, I have figures of Hogan now. I guess I shouldn't be so disgusted with myself. That Warlord's a lot of fun, though. Yeah, I have the Hart Foundation. That Jimmy Hart was a nightmare. Because someone stole the head out of my Yokozuna box, and those figures were so hard to come by anyway. It took forever for a head just to show up on eBay. But finally had my Jimmy Hart. Pretty happy. And then I have like me, Mark Callis, the Brain Busters with Ric Flair, and here in the center I do have the Mega Powers. That's the first Hogan I've ever bought. That wasn't given to me. I didn't just acquire it. I actually bought him. I'm not proud of myself. Super 7 Andre is great though. Possibly the best Andre figure I own. Well, definitely, because the only other competition is that piece of junk in the back. And then also, I have a lot of Bret Harts. You will see that shortly. Going on over, and basically this is the era between WrestleMania 6 and the Attitude Era. So it's the New Gen, but it's also the downswing of the Hulkamania era. So you have like the Iraqi sympathizer Sergeant Slaughter and Iron Sheik. I forget what his fake name was. Fake name, as if Iron Sheik isn't his fake name. Sid Justice is a referee in the back. Debut Razor Ramon, Mr. Perfect Ric Flair. That's a Jack-specific pallbearer, but he looks great. That's one of the best figures they ever did. The Goon! Oh, I love the Goon. I have both versions of the Legends. Jake the Snake, I have him in the Gray Pants and the Flaming Pants, and I also have Purple Taker. That Mabel that Mabel's what got me into collecting wrestling figures, because I did a massive downswing after like I bought Razor Ramon, but his wave, it was him and Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan, I got way back in. And then of course I have my Ultimate Bret Hart favorite wrestling figure, and that Macho King has a custom shirt, so he looks a little bit better than he did just out of the box. And then my Earthquake, love Earthquake. Definitely a dark time for wrestling as an industry, but a great time for characters and interesting personalities to come up, especially ones that can make really fun toys. Below the Hulkamania, guys, this is where we finally get to the Attitude Era. Well, I call it the Attitude Era. It's basically anything from 1996 onward. That's why we have, like, King of the Ring Jake here. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of figures that they've made from 96 that wasn't, you know, NWO, basically. But, got a few interesting figures. That Jake is still great. Original DDP. Did the Target DDP ever come out? I know, like, people find it on eBay, but, like, that, it feels like those are figures that, like, fell off a truck, if you know what I mean. The new Bam Bam, which is fun. I like the ECW Bam Bam stuff. NWO Hogan. I did not buy that Hogan. That Hogan was sent to me by mistake, and the person wouldn't take it back, so now I have it. DX Army. I'm so amazed that they're actually making the DX Army. As soon as I get X-Pac, that's going to be great. The Outsiders Razor Ramon. I don't have NWO Scott Hall. I hope that best of line that Mattel's doing, like, they'll redo him there, because that's the only major look for Scott Hall I'm missing. And then up front, I just have my favorite wrestlers of the era. Have the Target Legends. I've always called them Wolfpack, but I guess they're actually just the Outsiders. Hall and Nash. Got the Rey Mysterio that I just reviewed a while back. That Edge. That's like the perfect Edge figure. I really like it. I hate that we're probably never going to get a Christian that matches it. That Kane is just the best. That's the, is it Collector's Select? Collector's Picks? Top Picks. It's the Top Picks Rock, which is basically just the Layeth the Smacketh Down Rock, but it has a little bit better articulation. He has the pinless joints. And then, of course, the Stone Cold. Going over. And this is what I call the Ruthless Aggression Shelf. Basically anything from between 2000 and 2010. A lot of different looks. There's a China. There's the Thug Life, John Cena, John Morrison. I love that Mick Foley. A lot of people don't like that Mick Foley because of the head sculpt. I think it's fine. Hurricane, which is just a horrible shelf warmer, but it's a fun figure. Only TNA figure up here still. Got my Scott Steiner, because there's nothing finer than Scott Steiner. Umaga. I love Umaga. I don't know if anyone who watches my videos watches OSW reviews, but they talk about boys, basically embarrassing wrestlers that you love. My boys like Umaga and Mabel. Those are in my stable. And then two Eddie Guerreros right next to each other. Eddie Guerrero is my favorite wrestler of all time. He's right there with Bret Hart, and look who's right next to him. Another Bret Hart, my WCW Bret. I also have the WWE NWO Scott Hall. So yeah, basically just amazing how much wrestling changed in 10 years, because you gotta think, you're going from like the NWO and the last bit of the Attitude Era, and then you end it with like the retirement of Shawn Michaels, the rise of John Cena, the PG era coming into play. I just realized I forgot that I kept TNA Christian up here too. Those are the only two TNA figures I own, which is a shame. But Toy Viz TNA wrestling figures are unbelievably underrated. They're great. But yeah, I like this shelf, even though it always feels a tad thin. Mostly just because I don't actually remember a lot of the wrestlers, even though this is the era I grew up in. I don't know what that says about the quality of the storytelling then. Below that, we have my single most full shelf, and that is from between 2010 and 2020, which is easily when I was the most into wrestling and when I bought most of the stuff. But a lot of great figures. I love the Fashion Police. I hate that they're, do they team anymore? I've fallen so far off WWE. I just keep up with Roman Reigns and Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss and then Becky Lynch as well. Got another Roman there. Back when we didn't like Roman. Oh, how times have changed. Yeah, just a bunch of random wrestlers. I love that Bray Wyatt that they did. I hate that they mismanaged The Fiend so much, because is Bray Wyatt the actual unluckiest wrestler to ever live? And then, of course, Another Bret Hart. The last of the Bret Harts, because he doesn't have a figure that could conceivably be a 2020 Bret. That's alright. And then I also got my Usos there. That's still my favorite John Cena, the one right next to AJ, and that's because it reminds me the most of their feud, which is one of my favorite wrestling feuds still. Going to the most full to the most sparse, this is the 2020s wrestling, and yeah, not a lot. A lot of good figures there, like the Boneyard match AJ, same thing with the Taker. That Keith Lee figure is great. I like that Drew McIntyre. That Rhea Ripley figure is amazing. Just like the wrestler, very underrated. The Asuka. That's the only Paul Heyman I have, and I don't know what it says about me. I don't have a Brock Lesnar. I do have a Roman Reigns, and that's the only figure I want next to my Paul Heyman. And then I'm waiting for them to do the other Uso. Is that one Jimmy or Jay? I think that one's Jay. We're waiting for Jimmy. But yeah, a bit sparse, but it's going to fill up. We're early into the decade. Down here is basically everything that's not a modern toy line. So I have all my Jax figures down here. I have my Hasbros down here. If they would have fit, I would have put my LJNs here. But a lot of weird stuff. Got Eugene there, which, thank God Eugene's not around anymore. British Bulldog, Captain Lou Albano. That R3 Matt Hardy is still really good. There was a time where I tried to mix these guys in with my Mattels, but I kind of just like them doing their own thing. Hey, Gangrel! I love Gangrel. He'll probably never get an elite. And then you see, I actually do have quite a few BCAs. Some of them are actually kind of hidden by Hogan and Jimmy Hart there. But I will say this. Cheap repaint, sure, but that Blue Blazer is still a really good figure as a BCA. Same thing with China. And well, we don't talk about Tammy anymore now, do we? Got my Hasbros. I want to get some more Hasbros. They're such a great line. And then I just found these guys recently. They're WCW thumb wrestlers. I have Macho and I have Hogan. They had Goldberg and I think Sting. I just wanted to get the NWO guys though. I might try to track down the rest because they're such a, they're stupid, but they're the fun stupid. And of course, we have the AEW shelf. I'm not a completionist on this line. I just get the figures that look cool with the wrestlers I enjoy. So I have a lot of Codys, I have a lot of Stings, I have a lot of Johns and Jerichos. I have both the Dustins they've done, and both of them are very solid, and I love that Matt Hardy as well. In all honesty, like the best figure they've done so far, just for me personally, is Mr. Brody Lee. And I'm saying that with a bit of bias because, of course, I loved Brody Lee and everything about his character, and it's tragic how he's passed on. But it's also just a very good figure. He's just very solid. So go with that John Moxley. I love that John. Better than any Dean Ambrose figure I ever had. I know that much. Admittedly, I'm not as excited about the AEW stuff because I don't know. Like, I like the wrestling. I love watching the show, but I honestly find myself getting more excited about Mattel figures than these guys, and it's just because I think Mattel figures are a bit tighter. They have a bit more solid construction, but the AEW figures are still really good. Below the wrestling figures, we have one of the last Transformer shelves, that being my Bumblebee shelf. Like I said, I love that Studio Series is finally doing the Bumblebee designs. All of them have been great so far, with the exception of that one. And also that one, to be fair. Still own them, because I'm not getting rid of Shredder or Dropkick. But, thank God we got those two eventually. And then I got my 3 Bumblebees in the front. He's kind of a straggler. That's the Last Night Voyager Megatron. He doesn't have anywhere else to go. He doesn't fit on the other movie shelf, but I just keep him here. He's like an orphan taken in by this very, very happy, very colorful, very solidly made family. Can't wait for the RC. They look amazing. And yeah, out of all of them so far, I think my favorites are still Optimus and that Brawn. How is Braun so good? Why is Braun so good? What did they do to make Braun the All-Star in a wave that had Ratchet and Wheeljack? I guess we'll never know. Oh, and by the way, that Shockwave is good too. That brings us to the final shelf in here, and this is the I give up shelf, basically. Just figures that have nowhere else to go, and I don't care. I put them together. I have the remainders of the Sideswipe mold contingent here. I have a lot of Cyberverse figures. I have a custom Combiner Wars figure. That Power of the Primes Alita 1, I really like. That's a guilty pleasure figure of mine. I think it's great as like an IDW Alita. A lot better than the Netflix Alita. I'll stick by that. couple of Authentics, that Shockwave and that Soundwave are great. Story of my life, I can't wait to find the RC, because the RC looks very good. And then just some more of the Cyberverse Deluxe guys. That Hot Rod's great, he just needs more paint. That Snarl is good. I love the Skybites. Like this one-step changer Skybite, I did a review on him. Honestly, like my favorite one-step changer of all time. And then I also have my Revenge of the Fallen Megatron, Voyager, which isn't a good figure, but god is he fun. Kind of a flaccid way to end the tour of the room, but it is the last shelf. The only other space in here left to show is my desk, which is where I do all the reviewing. I do keep a couple of things on here at all times, like these are Doctor Who Build-A-Figure pieces for the Cyber Controller. I don't know what other figures I need to complete it, so I just leave all the pieces there. Have some Ben Presto stands, have a flight stand in case I ever want to use it in a review. Have the Superman box in case I do a dark figure. Every time a figure's too dark for my phone, I use this to make it a little bit taller. Dr. Wu has helped me out in more ways than one. And also, I love these. I have these Pokemon pins. I don't know when I'll ever use them, but they're so nice. And they were made by a local artist here in Savannah. They're the Johto starters plus Trico, which, I don't know, that's my favorite group of starters. And then these are shoe boxes that I keep the accessories to the figures that I review the most often. So I keep my Masters and my Marvel Legends and my Transformer and my Star Wars accessories in those boxes. My Hero 2. That leaves the storage room, which we'll just take a quick look. It's not that great. Yeah, it's basically just where I keep all the rest of my junk. Figures that have nowhere else to go, boxes that I like, storage bins for accessories and various add-ons. Over here, just more of the same. More of the same. I really need to reorganize in here. I guess I figure no one goes in here save for me, so it doesn't matter as much as keeping this place clean and organized. We're actually not done yet. I do have a few toys and collections here in the living room. For instance, I keep a lot of Funko Pops here in front of the TV. I've never bought any of these. I bought the Soundwave and I bought the Skeletor. All the rest of these were gifts. And then I also have a robot that I've had since childhood, so he hangs out in here with me. Planet Fun, the nerd shop in Savannah, actually has a wall where they just sell local fan art, and I am a big fan, so I bought a few pieces. I have Umbreon, and a Snorlax that has a Pikachu and a Vigoroth on his tomes. And then I also have this. It's a very gothic Team Rocket. I dig it. Bold and brash. More like belongs in the trash. That's the entire reason I bought it, just so I could hang it above the trash can, because why not? Over here, got a few more things. I have a Soundwave poster that was actually done by a friend of mine. And then that's a gift from Ella. That's the Kiki's Larry Silver's poster. That's my favorite movie, so I'm happy to have that one. And then someone did a fan art of No Face from, Spirited Away. My word, it took me too long to remember that. I bought that the day before they broke up, so kind of fun. I like Daft Punk. I don't know much about them, but I enjoy their music. That's another movie poster. That was a gift from a friend of mine. Their name was Carl, and it's just a Godzilla poster. And then I have a My Hero corner. Of course I do. So big My Hero poster. And then I have Kirishima in Crocs in a field of flowers. I don't know. I bought that, not really considering. It's nice. I like it a lot. Have a very DC animated universe looking Deku. Have the three boys drinking soda. And then I have a Loki. Like I said, I just like buying fan art. I like seeing how fans do characters in their own style. It's always a lot more interesting than just buying like normal posters. The last one I have hanging up is this picture of Iroh that I have right next to the door because, I don't know, I feel like it puts out a good vibe. There's a few that I own that I haven't hung up yet. One is of Funtime Freddy. This artist did all of the animatronics. I just got Freddy. And then this really nice Ahsoka fan art. I really wish, like occasionally they'll put in their business cards, the people that draw these, but not always. And I wish they would, just because I would actually like to commission art from a lot of these artists. They're very, very good. Their style, I like it a lot. I just wanted to shout this out because I thought I should. The Kirishima picture was done by Dorat the Idealist. I don't know where you can contact them, but they did sign their artwork. And then this one came with a business card, and that was the Suicidal Assassin. I just wanted to call them out because, you know, this isn't my artwork. I'm happily purchased it. I think it's great. But if you're interested in those or that style, like, reach out to them. I really enjoy these prints. I actually managed to find the business card that came with this picture of Midoriya. Let me focus back in there. And here is the contact information. Let me get that focused. Like I said, it's a very good drawing. It's lasted several months. I really enjoy it. So if you're interested, give that person a look. From what I understand, it's kind of hard to be an artist these days. And I can't make out the signature, but I did just notice there is... Here, focus for me. There is a signature for that one, but I can't read it. I can't read cursive. And like I said, I wish that more business cards came with these fan arts, because I would love to commission them or at least shout them out more. There's just one last shelf here in my bedroom, and as you can see, it's where I don't buy the normal My Hero manga. I bought all the spin-off manga because the rest is going to be turned to the anime. I haven't bought Vigilantes. I should get into that. People told me it's great. And then I have some Pops. I'm normally not much of a Funko Pop person. Like I said, all the ones I have in the living room, I bought 2 of them. All these I bought. I had to track them down. And a few more. I gotta say, like, normally I'm not big on the Pops, but there's so much character put into the bodies of these that I think they're actually really solid. And that All Might, like, literally just looks like All Might. My favorite one has to be that Aizawa, though. Like, very good Eraserhead. Just an empty case, just in case I get something else. And then this, I'm starting to collect the 7 inches mint in box as well. So I had the 2-pack, and then I have the very first Midoriya they did. It was a nightmare getting a good version of that box. Amazon kept sending me, like, destroyed box after destroyed box. But that collection I'm going to expand quickly, but I definitely want to get started on it. It is a line I like a lot. So there it is, the full collection as it has changed and been added to over the last few months. It's something that brings me joy. It's something that I can, even if I'm having a bad day, I can go into the room and just feel alright about things. It's special to have something like that. And luckily for me, I'm in a spot where I don't have to think that I can't keep doing it anymore. You know, I shouldn't take for granted the ability I have to enjoy these things, because they are frivolous and they're not needed. And a lot of people, if they're not needed, you don't get to do that. So it's also a way to keep perspective, I think. But all that said, I know, if anything, I'm going to need to start slowing down before too much longer, because something came in while I was shooting this. While I was trying to film this, I got a box from the Big Bad Toy Store, and that is a very large box, I'm sure you can tell. And that is all stuff that I got from Planet Fun recently on store credit, because I did sell them some stuff. So I'm definitely not going to go away anytime soon, because worst comes to worst, I'm always going to have something else to review. But there is that. I want to thank everyone for sitting through this. I'm sure it's going to be a long video. But I hope it was at least somewhat enjoyable. I know I had fun filming it, even though it was kind of a mess trying to actually get it together. I was supposed to have this out a couple weeks ago, or at least I wanted to have it out a bit sooner to hitting 1,000, but I hope it turns out alright. And worst comes to worst, there's always going to be another review, and maybe if we hit 1,500 or 2,000, we'll do this again, and it'll even be a little bit better. Because I know already, just looking at the footage I got, this is a lot better than that last one. But thank you for sticking with me, thank you for following, and I hope to see you all in the next review. Wow. This is why I need to script these things before I do it.